Shopify grows your business no matter how far or big you grow. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Whether you're selling your fans' next favorite shirt or an exclusive piece of podcast merch, Shopify helps you sell everywhere. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the US. Allbirds, Rothy's, Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Plus, Shopify's award-winning help is there to support your success every step of the way. Because businesses that grow, grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in.
One of the most prolific producers of prodigious one of the Shop Tour Bus, man. You got to go check them out at shoptourbus.com or at Shop Tour Bus on Instagram. They got a new design out. It is the Sunshine Daydream, and I think it is my absolute favorite design maybe they've ever done. The tagline on it is "Walking in the Tall Trees," and it's dope.
It looks like it's right in our backyard.
And I like it. It's got the 2 color variants too. I want both of them. They're both equally dope, the color schemes.
Okay.
So if you want any of these t-shirts or hoodies or hats, go on over to shoptourbus.com, order yourself something, and it's going to come to you in a hand-designed box with some extra little goodies, like maybe a pencil, some gum, little trinkets here and there, and then you may be the recipient of a miracle bootleg cassette tape.
Yeah, that's true.
Keeping the magic alive through the decades.
You might even get a puppet that fits on your finger. You don't know. You got to order from them now.
And then if you want to do that and get it to you for free shipping, put in the promo code NoSimpleRoad, and your order and all those fun little things will come to you for free shipping.
And that is not the only cool design they have over there. All of their designs are equally as cool. This one just happens to be my favorite. Opinions are allowed on No Simple Road. Go check out shoptourbus.com. Our favorite one of our favorite sponsors is back. Yes, it's true, Venue Llama. Have you ever gone to a venue for the first time and ended up in the doo-doo parking spot?
Yes.
Have you ever gone to a venue for the first time and ended up in the fucking wrong security line?
Yeah.
Yes, that happened to me. Have you ever gone to a venue in a city that you haven't been to before and didn't know where to stay? Well, Venue Llama answers all these questions and more by us, the people that have actually gone there, done the shit, seen it, and been there.
That's cool.
Yeah. This is like Yelp for venues. Isn't that cool? Great idea.
Hell yeah.
Way to go.
I don't want my updates and news from a narc or somebody.
No.
To know
Well,
what
and
they're talking
I
about.
appreciate the musical community like extending their knowledge to the rest of the family out there, so we know what's up.
I'm going to give you the long and the short. This is an online resource that provides live music fans the insider venue info they need, a place where fans can quickly rate venues and share various tips and intel about those places. VenueLlama.com is open now for business. Go to VenueLlama.com, sign up for your free Llama account, and start rating venues today. Yeah. Fish Tour is about to start. I'm sure you haven't been to every venue on Fish Tour and you're going to somewhere new. Go there. Or if you've been to that venue before, you can go to VenueLlama.com, sign up for your account, tell everybody all the things, like where's the good restaurants? Where's the things that are cool around there? What door can I get into the venue quickly and stealthily with all of my accoutrements and accessories still in my pocket?
What about the water bottle? Do I need to throw mine away before I go in, or what?
Where are the sweet spots for the music? And where are obstructed views?
True, this too. Llamas can also list their favorite scene-friendly businesses, websites, or podcasts on the Venue Llama Friends page. So go do that right now. Go to VenueLlama.com.
No Simple Road. Yeah, here we go.
I know the road that may seem to go on forever and a lifetime.
I quit.
Road. Hey,
That's
Aaron,
it. This is the
Mel,
last episode of No
Apple.
Simple Road, everybody. Welcome.
Welcome.
Yep. No, I'm just kidding. Hey now, No Simple Road family. This is Aaron.
This is Mel.
And this is Apple.
This is Cam.
Hey, Cam's here, everybody.
What?
So everybody say hi to Cam. Wait.
Man.
Hi, Cam.
Nobody can hear that.
Nobody can hear it.
It's
Well, you
so
can hear
nice
us
to be
say hi
on
to him.
It's really nice to have you here, Cam.
the last
In
episode. Here I am.
person.
It's not the last episode, everybody.
Wow,
don't
last
freak
one.
out.
No, Cam is here for our dope intro for Mark Karan.
That's right. We have an actual
Legend.
living legend on the show today. Mark is the guitarist that was the first one to play with Bob after Jerry's death when they decided to go on.
Big
And-
shoes.
Could you
That's-
say he helped him take it further?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That was bad and dry, but
That was really good.
Or
Mel.
it was good.
That was
Thanks.
right on. That was right on
Okay,
point.
Yeah.
All right, thank
Well
you.
done.
And I mean,
Yeah, and Mark's got stories for days. Like he's done everything. I can't even get into what we talked about with him. You're going to hear it.
we're not
And
going to do it twice.
me rehashing
We
it
don't need
now
to.
doesn't make much sense.
No.
So, that's not what we're going to do.
We're gonna
That's
get. We're
not
gonna
what
get
we're
them
gonna
to what we
Wait,
need to.
hang on. Apple, you got something over there?
Yeah.
No?
No, you're
Oh, I
digging
thought-
in your phone, dude.
No, I was just looking at it. Like, he's played with RatDog, the other ones, Mickey Hart's band, Planet Drum, and Phil Lesh and Friends. Mark Karan, I'm sure all of you out there that listen have probably seen him in some form or another playing in one of these.
Yeah. I mean, just think of the head trip that is to get tapped, to take that spot after Jerry's passed. Like, this is the first thing that's going to happen that's Grateful Dead since.
As fresh as it ever was.
Yeah.
Like in the freshest. Oh, man.
Here's the shoes, dude. Go.
Yeah. He was just in them.
Yeah.
Find out what happened.
Yeah. And I
after.
actually asked him about that, and he had a great answer.
Yeah, well, it's always going to say in 1998, he was selected along with Steve Kimmock to fill the lead guitar slot in the other ones. So, I mean, you're in good company there.
Definitely. And he's got his own band, Mark Karan's Buds. He does
Great
some
name.
stuff with the Third Mind. Jemima Puddleduck is
Yeah.
the other one.
Yep.
All right. I do remember stuff. Check me out.
All right.
So we have some announcements to make before we get to this conversation with Mark. Thanks, Apple.
Yeah.
The
hear
first,
ye, hear ye.
Jesus Christ. The first one is
of the square.
Gather around for the announcements. Okay, I think you're set
Can
up.
I go
well
now?
Go for it.
May we
So-
have your attention, please?
So we're going to be doing a live podcast the day before Dick's on August 28th at Fire on the
What?
Mountain in Denver. And we're going to have some special guests.
Check
and we're
that
planning
out.
some fun shit for you there. So please come hang out with us. If you're going to be in Denver the day before the Dick's run, come do that. What else? Help
Wait,
me
what
out.
what date did you say that was?
August 28th?
25th.
Is it?
Oh, wait, that was a lie. Sorry,
Uh-huh.
guys.
I know
I'm
my
confusing
dates.
everybody.
What are you looking
Jeez,
at?
no. It's,
I'm looking at the calendar.
yeah, it's
I think
28th,
that-
Wednesday.
I just got to
Do
say,
not-
that would be a good band name. The Day Before Dick's.
Yeah. And they got to play in the lot.
Come see The Day Before Dick's.
Okay. Come see
All right.
us the day before Dick's, who's No Simple Road at Fire on the Mountain in Denver.
Wow.
Yeah, we're also going to be at Cascade Equinox, and you can get your tickets for that now. We're going to be doing a live podcast, and we're going to be doing all kinds of fun stuff over there, and you should really come because that festival is dope. And if you haven't listened to our Cascade Equinox lead-up episode, we dropped it last Monday. You can go back and listen to that now because it's good, and you should hear it.
And we cover all kinds of things.
It was Bianca that wrote us.
I think so.
Maybe I'm wrong, but if it was Bianca, thank you for what you said. That was really sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got some nice feedback on that one.
Yeah, we did.
And getting feedback like that, it's not just an ego thing. Like when you do a
No.
podcast, we're here in our room,
Yeah.
and then I go on the internet and I do some stuff, and then it's gone. And I don't know if anybody listens to it. Who knows? So
Yeah.
when you get feedback, it's nice to know
Yeah.
you're doing a good job.
Yeah, I'm truly by myself on my podcast. I am sitting in my living room talking into my laptop by myself. So when people say nice
That's
things about the
true.
podcast,
Ooh.
I'm like, thanks. I didn't.
You actually heard it.
It's
And-
just me in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Cam, when you watched other people do like an intro to a podcast by themselves, and before you started doing it, did you think to yourself, oh, I could totally do that? And then when you started doing it, you're like, wow, that's harder than I thought it was going to be.
I was like, that's probably super hard. And then when I started doing it, I'm like, yeah, this is really hard to do.
Okay. So you did think it was going to be difficult.
I did, but I'm not trying to, that's not a huge part of the episode. Like when I'm talking to myself in the intro or talking to the audience in the intro by myself, I'm just trying to set up the guest and then go to the interview, you know?
Yep. Like this.
But I would love to chop it up with some people like No Simple Road.
Hey, that's why we're here.
We're here doing it. Chopping.
And then if you're headed to the Oregon Country Fair this weekend, we are going to be there as well. No Simple Road is helping man the bookstore. And we are going to be performing on the front porch on Sunday at noon. We're going to be doing a panel interview for harm reduction. And then we are going to be on Shay Ray at 3:00 doing
Shay
us
Ray.
with Cam. And then Cam, where are you going to be? Shay Ray?
I'm also going to be on Shay Ray on Saturday, doing this stand-up show it's a normal stand-up show where there's a bunch of comedians doing 5 to 10 minutes, but they're giving us like a lay-on for our set. Like you have to like accomplish a task while you're doing your set, like eat a burrito or handle a line of hugs. Like there's people who come through and give a line of hugs. Or like,
Hell yeah.
All right.
So yeah, I have no idea what that's going to be. Come check it out.
Yeah.
That is Oregon Country Fair.
Yep. And then all the other stuff, the business stuff. Follow No Simple Road at the social
Go
platforms.
to
At No Simple Road.
www.nosempleroad.com. Get the merch. Sign up for a tarot reading with Aaron.
That's
and Mel.
right, we do that.
See what
Yeah,
we're
that's
up
true.
to. It's a beautiful website that the conductor has put together.
Ta-da.
I send people to the website when they're like, "What are you on?" I'm like, "Just go to the website
Drugs.
because
Yep.
it'll take you to all the things." So do that.
Yep.
And then you go to Apple Podcasts. You can leave a review. You can do the 5 stars. You could leave a review if you want to. We don't have a new one. We
Wah,
did
wah,
not get one for
wah.
June.
What?
We're
That's
into
cool.
July
You
know
now.
June?
July guy.
Yeah, be
Dang,
the
no
July
June
guy or
love.
girl and leave us a July review or leave us a review or drop us a line on whatever you're listening to us on.
And you can also call 971-808-1524. That is the No Simple
tepid
Road
line.
tepid line. There is no operator standing by, but you have 3 minutes to say your piece. So you could call in and say whatever you want like this.
Hi, this is Brennan calling down from here in Eugene. Just wanted to drop you guys a line as I'm here on my last work day before I head out to the Oregon Country Fair for the next 6 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And wanted to kind of tell Apple a fun story of my time that maybe things got a little carried away at the country fair. And, it was a blast. But I ended up just burying my head in my wife's chest all night, looking at the pretty fireworks behind my eyelids. Had a great night.
It happens.
Country Fair will do that to you. It was magic, even though I couldn't move. It was great being able to listen to all the things happening around me while the fireworks took place. Anyway, looking forward to fair. Hope you guys have a great one, and maybe no one needs to go to Whitebird because you can party without going there.
That's true,
All right,
Brandon.
have a good weekend.
That's true, Brandon, but it's not a party until somebody goes to Whitebird.
Yeah.
And I've already done it, so I appreciate that, Brandon, because this year I'm going about it a different way, and I'm not gonna end up in Whitebird.
Yeah, you're eating Cliff Bars and drinking iced
Other
tea.
than to go back there because I would really like to meet Freak Show and thank him for last year.
Yep. And
Yeah.
you know what, man?
He deserves a good.
I'm just
thank
going to
you.
say it. You're on your own this year, brother. That
If I flip out again on no.
You're not.
I always got your back, man.
I
no
know
matter
that.
I'll take him.
what. Okay. Yeah.
Hey,
we'll let
give me a
Cam
shit.
handle
We're off the hook this
Cam's
year.
a bitch.
I'll watch Apple tonight.
Oh my gosh.
You're awesome,
So
Cam.
everybody,
Welcome.
if you are lucky enough to catch Mark Karan playing around where you are, do so. This is one
so.
incredible legend in our music scene, and I hope you all really, really enjoy this conversation. So you guys ready?
Yes.
Without further ado, the No Simple Road crew gives you
Mark Karan.
Yeah, so I just,
There it is.
yeah, you got something?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we hear you great now.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
Weirdness.
In the
Yeah.
hell.
Well, I think you were obviously very good at pantomime. You were doing very good, but that would have been hard to do a whole interview.
Apple said we could have our very first mind guest. Yeah.
All right.
Mark, what's happening, man? I'm Aaron.
Hi, Aaron. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I'm Mel. Mark.
Hi, Mel.
Yeah.
And then I'm the third member here, Apple. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Apple. My pleasure.
Mark, how's your day going other than us having Zoom woes?
Well, that was pretty freaky, but yeah, other than that, the day's been fine.
Where are you?
I'm in Fairfax in Marin County.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, beautiful country. Marin County is God's country down there, man.
Yeah, well, and they're charging us for it these days.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure.
They're charging everyone for God's country, and
My wife used to talk about the expense of living in Marin and the Bay Area in general as the happy tax.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well,
I get it.
yeah.
That's fair.
Now it's the happy tax is out of line. Though.
Yeah.
Now we've got
Completely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
but so many in our country are currently, so.
No shit, man. Hey, Mark, for everybody that's listening to the show, can you tell them who you are and what you do so that they know?
Well, I'm a guitar player, singer, songwriter. I'm guessing most of the people that are tuned in here are probably in some way connected by or influenced by the Grateful Dead world. And I played guitar in the first post-Jerry big band called The Other Ones with all the boys. And then I had the chair with Mr. Weir in RatDog for about 15 years.
I mean,
so that's probably why most of the folks here did in me. You know, I have some other stuff in my background as well, but it's not as Grateful Dead related. So,
well, yeah, I mean, it's amazing to me that you were pulled behind Kimmock for the Other Ones. And
well, you know what was interesting about that? Initially, I got the gig instead of Steve.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they tried Steve and myself and a couple of other players. And they determined at that point in time, the goal was to sound nothing like the Grateful Dead. Mm. They were saying they wanted to see where the music was going to go next.
Okay.
And the request was kind of, you know, play like you don't know who Jerry Garcia is, please. We want to hear what you would do with this music.
Oh, wow.
And when we tried out, their take on Steve at that time was that maybe he was a little too close to Jerry. And so they opted for me. And then some stuff that I don't want to spend a whole lot of time discussing happened. But
that's fine.
But they determined that in classic Grateful Dead fashion, there was a little bit of service around that. And was it going to be me or was it going to be Steve? And in classic Grateful Dead fashion, they decided to take us both.
Yeah.
Screw it, man. We'll do it both. I
want all of it.
I love that.
That's a heavy gig to get.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I'm guessing where you may be going, and I could be wrong, but I've done enough of these interviewee type things that I often have been presented with the impossible to answer question of what's it like to fill those shoes?
Well, no, I not at all. I wouldn't even ask that. I because you can't. Those shoes,
exactly.
There's no way. But the energy of the thing is what I'm talking about. That's a big thing to step into. And you were admittedly not a Deadhead, right? Is this true?
Well, that's quite true. I grew up in San Francisco, and I first saw the Dead in 1966.
Okay.
I was an 11-year-old kid, first exploring smoking pot and electric music, and you know, on some level, maybe arriving at the place where I was slightly outgrowing the Beatles, or at least moving on to other things. And so I was a massive Deadhead from 66 until 76 or so. Of course, we didn't call ourselves that back then.
Right.
And it was before, you know, thousands of people were traipsing all over the country to follow them. But I saw tons of shows between 66 and 76.
Okay.
By the time 76 rolled around, I was like, well, this has been a fun 10 years. And, you know, now I'm 20 or 21 or whatever the hell it is. And what else is out there?
Okay. Yeah.
It's a big world. It sure is shit. Yeah. It's a great big world out there. But like I said, that jumping into that thing, the energy of it is big, and the expectation of the fan base is enormous. What was that like for you stepping into that, Mark?
That was a lot to cope with. I mean, for me, being brought into that world was just a kind of a dream come true because, I had grown up in San Francisco and I was a hippie way back when that was something new and very special to be, and my life had taken a bunch of different kinds of turns along the way. And at the time I was living in Los Angeles and I was doing everything I could to be in pretty much any kind of a band that had a record deal. And so when I got invited to play with the boys, it was kind of like, hey, remember this take on life?
Oh,
Remember how much you liked it? Want to go back there?
That's a cool way to look at it.
But as far as the crowd, the scene, they had no idea about my background in San Francisco and my time in the Haight-Ashbury and listening to the Dead. All they knew was they looked me up and saw that I was living in LA and doing session work, and that I had recently played in the band the Rembrandts that did the Friends theme song. And so there were a lot of Deadheads that didn't want to know about me. They're like, who is this asshole? Get him off.
Yeah, Deadheads we could be a fickle bunch on a good day. That's for sure. Yeah. That's a tough thing, but you know what, man, you did it for a long time with RatDog too. And that thing just kept rolling right along. That was your first Grateful Dead experience, was a RatDog show, right?
Sure was in Las Vegas.
Personally, for all three of it, that's where I saw you play live the first time was with RatDog.
Yep.
Was that at the Joint or?
No, it was at the Palms.
At the Pearl.
Okay,
Pearl,
sure.
Yeah.
The poolside stuff.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man, it's a trip to see the music evolve in the way that it has, and to have been a part of it for as long as I have. I can't even imagine what it looks like to you.
Well, it's definitely changed even in the relatively short period of time that I've been involved compared to how long it's all been around and happening.
Mm-hmm.
When I first came aboard, it felt a lot like my childhood. It felt a lot like the old days. Bigger, certainly, than it had been when I was involved in all of that.
Right. But
very much the same vibe. But I've seen things change a lot. Like I say, early on, the boys were like, we want you to play like you've never heard Jerry Garcia. We want to hear what your take is on this music because we want to take it, further. And over the years, I think they've come to a conclusion. I'm not sure what led them down this particular path, but it seems like they're much happier, kind of, still throwing in new ideas, but kind of doing things a little bit more similarly to the way that they were done traditionally in the Grateful Dead.
Can I wonder about this for the fans? Like, at what point does a musician give the fans what they want versus what they're morphing and turning into, and maybe what their career has brought them to?
I think that's incredibly individual. I don't think there's a one size fits all there. I think some people will follow their career and what's feeding that, and that means, I'm doing that to some degree right now, strictly from a survival perspective. I'm enjoying what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
But a lot of what I'm doing has been kind of covery, tribute-y based stuff. And, I grew up in an era where we made fun of people that played cover music. That was what losers did. You went and you played top 40 in a bar, and that was where your career was going to stall out, and that's who you were going to be. We all wanted to be the next Grateful Dead or the next Beatles or the next whatever, So we learned from all those great bands, but the idea was to take what you'd learned from them and write your own material and come up with your own sound and put out your own record so you could be the next one in line.
Yeah.
And now musicians and audiences both seem to be most comfortable playing and listening to music that they're very familiar with already. And so one of the bands I tour with is called the Gilmore Project, and it's a really fun band with really great musicians. But we're doing Pink Floyd and David Gilmour stuff. We're not doing our stuff,
Right.
you know. And we recently started a new band called Live Dead and Brothers, which is a serious kick in the pants. It's kind of a mashup of Grateful Dead and Allman Brothers, and half the band is very Grateful Dead steeped, and the band is, we got Barry Oakley Jr. on bass and Les Dudek on lead guitar. So, we're sharing that chair. And so that's a whole bunch of fun, but still, even though we're improvising and taking liberties with everything, it's more tributey than what I'm used to.
Yeah.
Okay. I think, at least from my perspective, I think that the whole idea of cover band is different now, at least in the jam band world, because for most of the folks that are around right now that are in the scene, they're younger, so they didn't get to see the Grateful Dead, a lot of them. So the only thing they know is tribute and cover bands. And so for them, it's the norm. And I think for a lot of people, the thing is just the songbook at this point, to see the songbook played through as many different vessels as possible.
I think that is certainly an aspect of things. But I mean, even outside the Grateful Dead world, you talk to and look at the listings at local venues and stuff, and you'll see Fleetwood Mask.
Yeah.
And various clever names about Heart or Pink Floyd, or you'll see bands that select a couple of bands that they're going to tribute. So they call themselves Pink Talking Fish.
They're actually really good.
I've heard that. I've never heard them play, but it's all Pink Floyd and Talking Heads and Fish.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, okay. But again, I grew up in a time where not only did I want to be in bands that were playing original music, that's all I wanted to see. Right. I didn't want to go to see bands that were playing other people's music. And now most people aren't that interested in seeing people that are like writing their own songs and trying to get their own artistic thing going.
Being a musician on a good day is hard. Like it's a hard thing. And I understand like the desire to want to be a rock star. I get it. That's all I ever wanted to be. What made you decide to dig into it, to playing guitar?
Oh, I don't think I ever had any choice, really. I mean, I was raised in a very musical household. I didn't know him because he was gone after 2, but my blood father was a jazz trumpet player. My mom was a total jazz geek and, would take me around to the jazz workshop or the Black Hawk back when I was a little tiny kid. And, the bassinet would be next to the kick drum.
Wow.
So
talk about indoctrination.
I mean, and all those great bebop bands from that era that my mom was going to see. And then the Beatles happened. And, so many people in my general age group, we saw that. We saw the shiny guitars and the high heel boots and the long hair and the screaming, beautiful teenage girls. And we went, I want to be that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And from that moment on, really, I think I was literally 9 years old. And from that moment on, I knew exactly where I was going with my life. School didn't mean squat to me. It was all about guitar.
Wow.
It was on.
Singular focus.
I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but just back to what we were talking about a moment ago about like people not wanting to hear fresh things or like, things that, singer-songwriter stuff. Clearly, that's the majority of the people we're talking about. That's not everybody. But what do you think? What do you think that is? Because that is, you're right. We've all seen it in Vegas and like your hometown, like you said, in all the bars. Like people just want to hear what they've heard for 50, 40 years. Like, why not? What do you think that is about a whole culture?
I don't know. It's had me scratching my head for quite a while now because I've always been a huge fan of eclecticism. I like lots of different things. Even if spaghetti is my favorite food, that doesn't mean I don't want steak on some night or chili on some night.
Absolutely.
that is my favorite music, that's great. But there's a lot of other flavors out there. And so I don't really know why things seem to have moved in that general direction, but it seems like I don't want to be Debbie Downer or negative about it in any way, but a lot of stuff seems to have happened along those lines, just kind of in life, especially around entertainment. I see like really interesting, cool shows on television or something. They're usually only going to be on for one season because the public doesn't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
It's not the same old thing that everybody's comfortable with.
Well,
everybody wants sitcoms and sports and it's like, well, that's not my shit.
No.
More power to the people that like that, but that's not my trip.
Yeah.
One thing is there is so many more options out there than there ever was. And those times we're talking about the cover bands, that was the last time when everybody listened to music at the same time, like the same type of stuff. Yeah. If an album came out, we all heard that album because that's what was out. But now there's like billions of albums out and songs. And so like the chances of your neighbor and you hearing the same stuff is like 0% almost. So even though they may want to hear this awesome music that's coming up, they'll never know about it. Right. You know what I mean? It's like buried.
And there are, of course, exceptions. I mean, I'm not saying that making new music or that nobody's listening to new music. I just don't think it's as big a piece of I hate using the term, but market share.
Yeah. The mainstream.
Rock and roll, sadly, has slipped out of the prioritized category in music. I think we're getting a lot more hip hop and dance pop as far as what's disseminated to the general public.
Yeah.
And you've got to be kind of a little bit of a freak, and you got to kind of dig around in the corners a little bit if you want to figure out what's going on that's new or different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's very true. I know.
I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say on Apple Music, I go like what you're just saying. You go to look at browse like all the new albums. It's like 60% hip hop, 30% EDM, electronica and stuff, and then a little bit of Latin music, and then a rock band once in a while. That pops in there. And
a lot of rock bands have ended up being. And again, I hate one size fits all, so I don't ever need to mean to imply that. But a lot of the rock bands are sort of more in the indie rock thing and more on the pop tip on some level. So I think like a lot of people that are in the Deadhead scene, well, they're not big fans of pop music. I have an unpopular opinion around that because I love great pop music. I mean, if it's crap, it's crap. But on some level, the Beatles were a pop band.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is what we're talking about is a symptom of the internet.
Well, the future
and where we are. I think it's that. It's because you even alluded to it a few minutes ago. You said, I wanted to be in any band that had a record contract. That's not even really a thing anymore. Like they're out there. Yes, it happens. But in order for a band to make it, they don't have to have that now. And I've heard from multiple bands that have come on the show recently. It's come up several times. We're like, what are you working on? Are you working on a new album? They're like, well, albums really aren't the thing anymore. It's EPs now. We're dropping songs.
Yeah, I've got a record that's finished finally. It's taken me forever to finally get to the point where it's finished, but it is. We've just finished mastering the other day. And in fact, when we were in the other room, I had it ready to go, but I'm going to go get it just because.
Cool.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, I'm at that point right now. I don't know what to do with this record. I mean, I've got 14 songs ready to go in the can, and I don't know what to do with it. I can't, nobody buys CDs. There's kind of no point in getting CDs printed.
Right.
You can get a few people buying vinyl, so I'll probably get a small run of vinyl. but I don't know do I drop them as singles? I have no idea.
Well, a lot of people that thumbs up is not our. By the way,
we haven't figured out how that happened.
We've been having a problem.
Right as he said, "Should I release it as a single?" It was like saying no.
No, release the record.
Yeah.
Well,
this is what I went to get. I don't know if you guys can see this.
Cool.
Or not.
Yeah. I love
this
the
is
artwork.
the album art.
That's
awesome. Ready to go.
Oh, that's really cool. What's the name of the album? What's on the bottom?
It's called Welcome to Your Life.
Okay.
Oh my God, I love it so much.
Love the fish.
I love the colors and I love the font, and the artwork is gorgeous.
Well, thank you. That's a guy named Jeff Christofuli who lives in Hawaii. I saw some wacky art that he had posted online. I said, I want that guy to do my artwork.
Oh, that's cool.
Right on.
How long have you been working on these 14 songs?
Oh God, you don't want to
know. You don't have to give us the honest answer, okay?
3 weeks.
I got a record deal in 2015 for about 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
They gave me a pretty sizable chunk of money to go into the studio and cut my basic tracks. And then about 2 weeks after I had done that, they contacted me. They didn't give me any reason whatsoever. They said, we've decided not to move forward with your record, but you're welcome to keep the tracks and finish the record in your own time, however you would choose to. So I stuffed it in a corner for a while because I was just like, well, that sucks. And you all suck. And
yeah.
Normal reaction.
Yeah.
And then I got over it and I was like, come on, man, you got all these great tracks in the can, finish them. And started working on it again. And my buddy Vadim Canby, who was one of Bob's Weir's right-hand men for many, many years, was helping me do the engineering and whatnot and the mixing. And he was constantly so busy with Weir. I mean, we would set up like recording dates or mixing dates, and then he'd call me that morning and go, I'm really sorry, but I've got to cancel. Weir called me. He wants me to come in. So there's been a lot of hurry up and wait going on, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. I get it. Yeah. The question of what to do with it, from what I can see, even accomplished bands now are dropping singles. Like Fish just announced they have a new album out, this album Evolve, and they've been dropping like a song every 2 or 3 weeks.
It's, it's kind of to stay relevant. If you drop all your 14 songs in a couple weeks, everyone's going to forget about it on to the next thing. But if you drop, things like every now and then little nuggets, and then the end, you wait, say you could do it 6 months, you could prolong it however long, and then, then give them the rest of the songs. At least you have them wanting and they're in their brain. Like there's this fast culture forgets everything.
Yeah.
Even if they like it, even if they like something, they forget they like it. And I know I'm talking about myself here too. Like, oh, I'm going to get back to that. And it loses my mind because something else replaced it. And so
none of us have attention spans anymore.
Yeah.
No.
I'm going to ashamedly and embarrassedly admit to something. And I think part of it actually has to do with digital sound.
Okay.
But I'm not going to be a jerk and say that's all of it. Some of it's just me. I hardly ever listen to music.
Oh, really?
And all my life, that's practically all I did was listen to music.
Mm-hmm.
But it's gotten so much more complicated. I mean, am I going to try to look up a song in an endless list of files on my phone or my computer? I mean, I used to go grab a record or a CD.
Yeah.
Put the fucking thing in the thing that played it and listen for an hour.
Yeah.
It's not that simple anymore.
No, man. That's almost like, going back in time, like really back in time. Because even if you said that, like some people don't even know what that means. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like that we're in a generation where people that are aware don't know what that means. What's a CD?
Well,
how would you listen to? Why an hour? Why not longer? You know what I mean?
Well,
they wouldn't even understand what that means.
Think about like Dennis McNally sending us CDs and we're like, we need to buy a CD player. We can't None of us. We were sitting in somebody's car.
We have them in our have them in our cars, but not in the house.
Yeah, he's sending us all
Well, they don't even have them in cars anymore.
No, they don't.
No, my new car doesn't have one. That's the first time.
But my car's a 2016, so I've got one. And so we were opening the door in my car and listening
sitting
to
out
like
on the patio.
Bear Sonic Journal, you know.
So I guess that begs the question then, Mark. Do you think that like the experience of listening to music has changed for people then?
Yes.
Huh.
Yes. I think that's for a lot of reasons. I don't think there's any simple explanation.
Sure.
All that stuff you were just saying, Mel, is absolutely true. I think there's also way more choices about what to do with your spare time. When I was doing what I was describing, people didn't have an infinite number of video games with incredible graphics and sound and systems to play them on. People didn't have Netflix and 50 other streaming sources that could do HD 5.1. That didn't exist.
Yeah.
You know, if you wanted to be entertained, you either hung out with your friends or by yourself and you put on some music. And that was pretty much what you had.
Wow.
Yeah, I know that's what we did when me and Aaron have been friends for like 40 years this year. When we used to go to the record store, that was the day.
Oh,
it was like get up,
about this the other
go
day.
to the record store. He'd buy some albums. I'd buy some. There'd usually be another friend or two. Everybody'd get different shit. We'd all get to go back home, and then it would be the whole rest of the day would be taking turns putting on albums. And then that was the entire day.
And smoking weed.
Yeah.
And smoking weed.
Of course.
But that
and I remember back when we were like 15 or 16, that was the big after school activity. You know, you'd go to your friend's house that had the cool parents and the good phonograph.
Right.
And you'd have your stack of 8 or 10 records that you were going to listen to that afternoon, and everybody'd smoke a joint. And you'd sit around and make out with your girlfriend all afternoon and listen to Neil Young and the Moody Blues and Jethro Tull and the Grateful Dead and whatever the hell we were listening to back then.
I think that the only like saving grace to where we're at now is that I feel like a talented young musician has a shot, because they don't have to rely on a record company to get their music out. They can use social media as advertising. They can record at home and make it sound amazing. You'll never know that it was recorded at home. And then put it out on the...
somebody professional would, Mark.
Yes.
You're right.
But they can get their stuff out. And I've seen a few bands in the past maybe 5 years that there's no record company behind them, but they're blowing up. Goose is a example of that. Like,
well, but they've had a lot of financial support and whatnot,
right?
And
that's key.
When you're a band that's just a local band and you're not blessed with some fabulous fan who happens to be richer than God coming in and helping you out. And I don't know the deals with Goose, so I'm not saying anything about them particularly other than that I did hear they had quite a bit of money behind them.
Yeah, they got great backing.
No,
the thing about the record label thing is that it's a mixed thing, because I in some ways feel exactly the way you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to hate the record labels because they were the ones that kept us from being able to make records. But now, as you said earlier, Mel, there's so many millions of people putting product out that now I suddenly go, oh, okay. So that's one way in which the record companies were kind of a good thing. Because they were kind of the filter, the gatekeeper to make sure there was a certain level of quality. And if you got in through that gate, they were going to make sure people knew about you.
Yeah.
But then they also quieted the smaller guy that was coming up. And
absolutely.
It's this weird.
We hated him.
Yeah, man. It's such a weird feeling, because I would think, working in a lifetime like you have at a craft, only getting better, so much experiences, worked with everybody in the industry, that it would pay off, quote unquote, in a way, financially, outwardly or whatever. But because of that, there's so much of choice. It just feels like, if you're good, it's okay, fine. You know what I mean? It's cool. Not the cheerleaders are gone. There's no cheerleaders. It's like it's just kind of a strange the culture that we're in, like right now in this temperature, is just, it's very odd because
it's not valuing creativity in kind of any field. It's not just the music field.
No, you're exactly. You're right. Books, like all of it. You can write a book now and just be public. Pay for.
We haven't even like to get into this is a huge discussion, but the whole thing with AI.
Oh,
that's happening
too. Mark, what do you think about AI? Because that is like right now, that's a whole thing in the with the musicians. Like, what do you personally feel about that? Subject, that topic.
It's too soon for me to have any real solid feelings about it. I feel the same way about a lot of that as I do about, digital recording and all of that stuff that's been made available. There's a lot of good things about new technology, but a lot of it comes along with at least the potential to become a real shit show.
Yep.
And AI is not any different than so many other things that have happened through the years. All the digital stuff that we do and all the ways that we can communicate and whatnot now killed the ability to make a living playing music if the way you made your living was by selling product.
Yeah.
If you made records and expected people to buy them, that's not an option anymore. And so with AI, I see all kinds of incredibly creative possibilities and really fascinating stuff. But I also see people getting really vested in it and valuing human creativity less, potentially. And I also see a lot of people seeing a cheap, fast way to get a bunch of stuff done without having to pay anybody to do it. They can just use a program.
Yeah, that also leads me to like, I understand getting it done fast. I understand trying to save money. I get it. I understand that. But when it comes to something like writing or poetry or art or music, that stuff has a soul, man. And
well, I agree.
And
I agree.
Does the computer have that soul to be able to put that into the music? I don't think so.
I don't either, but sadly what I'm seeing is that, and this is, I think, what was sort of at the core of a lot of the stuff we've been talking about, is the soul, the humanity is becoming less valuable to the general public.
Oh.
So it's not going to be missed.
No. By most people.
By most, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the people that miss it are we're all dying.
Well,
like our generation, like we're only getting older. I mean, that happens.
And I think there's still young people that are that way.
Sure.
Thank God. But I think that they're just becoming a smaller and smaller percentage of the population.
Yeah.
At least for now, but I also really feel that things throughout history have had like a pendulum type movement.
Yes.
And my fingers are crossed and my heart is open to the possibility that maybe people will get tired of some of the fast food way that we're doing things now and realize that there is some value in taking the time to really connect to your inner self and create something from scratch.
Right.
Well, one of the amazing things about what this podcast has done is create a community around it of people who value exactly what you were just saying.
Yeah.
Handmade, soulful art, music, poetry. And this is our platform to link people together, to remind all of us. Because this is not a new conversation. I'm sure you've had it with friends. We've had it, amongst ourselves, and just kind of the change and the weirdness of life, but still there's hope and, for the future, of course. And then you hear somebody amazing come out with some amazing, music or lyrics, and you're rejuvenated, right?
Yes.
So I think that absolutely something good is going to come. But, like maybe we're just at that pendulum right before it kind of swings the other way,
Dark before the dawn, right?
Yeah, man. And but that's beautiful too, because there's so much material and like energy in that as well.
And it's not like we're not having anything wonderful and creative going on. I mean,
so much.
I'm a huge fiend for what Derek and Susan are doing. Marcus King is a wonderful discovery. There are still wonderful things that are happening, no matter what your tastes happen to be.
That's true.
I just feel like you have to look a little harder. At a certain point, you look back to the mid to late 60s into the mid to late 70s, and you look at what was on commercial radio,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the stuff that was coming out of commercial Hollywood for film. And the freaks were in the mainstream.
Yeah.
And that's not what's happening anymore.
Mm-mm.
The freaks are still there, but we are not the mainstream. Rock and roll stars are not the social heroes. It's sports figures and politicos.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a completely different world. You know what, though? It was very strange for me. Like, when I got into the Dead, it was late 88, early 89. I was 18 years old. And the Grateful Dead, I was into punk rock as a kid in high school and all that. And the Grateful Dead scene was the fringe of the fringe at the time. It was the weirdos of the weirdos were Deadheads.
Too weird even for the punk scene.
Exactly. Exactly. And I recently went to the Sphere and saw Dead and Company play. And it was whatever. It was great. But it was a little jarring to me to see inside the Venetian Hotel, like, the Grateful Dead experience thing, and like this gift shop with tie-dyes in it. And like, it felt so odd. And I was like, my God, this is what has become of the baby, huh? This is what happened. It's
well,
sure
on some
shit ain't
level,
what it
yeah.
was. Yeah.
I mean, it's I don't know what to think about it, to be honest. I mean, I wish everybody that's involved in that all the best.
Yeah, man. Make all the money.
To be honest, I have not had enough interest to go and check out a Dead and Company show.
Oh, at all? At all since they've been together? Okay.
No. Just I didn't go see Further either.
Okay.
I just wasn't interested. It was one thing to be playing that music with those guys. But when it comes to going and seeing that music, for me, and I'm sure this is a very unpopular position, but for me, I feel like I got to see a lot of Grateful Dead between 1966 and 1976. I don't need to go see what's happening now.
I got you, man. I totally get it, Mark. And
it makes sense.
Mark, you moved on in the best kind of a way. You
did it.
You did the thing. You really did the thing on both ends, from when you were playing it and when you were younger. And you're right. You are it.
Yeah, I don't need to go see it. I did it.
Not that I don't still love what those guys are up to.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like I have actively gone and sought out the Wolf Brothers.
Yeah.
I have gone and seen those guys, and I really enjoyed seeing Bob in his element doing what Bob does.
Yeah.
And I like seeing Phil. He's constantly surrounding himself with new, younger musicians and fresh input. And I love the shit out of that. I respect the hell out of it. It's going to see the big deal Grateful Dead bands that it just doesn't mean much to me anymore.
I feel you, Mark.
We all understand or on the in the same boat.
It's not an unpopular opinion
in this room.
Like Phil Lesh and Friends is, like you just said, is always just amazing. He's an incubator for new talent. We've all learned of so many new musicians. Like, who's Phil playing with now? And then this next thing you know, this cat is playing with everybody and up and coming. That's the fresh stuff. And that's seeing what the originals were up to.
Well, that's like where Elliot Peck, Ross James, all those guys.
And then you had Billy and the Kids. That was fresh and fun.
Well, and I've always enjoyed watching the difference between Bob and Phil, because when RatDog was happening, it was I perceived it anyway the way that I do, which is Bob seems to be more inspired to keep the same people around him and create a style and a family and this is what we do. We've created something. We're a band.
Yeah.
And Phil seems like he's always been more intrigued with bringing in new elements and new blood. And every time he goes out, it's going to be fresh and a little bit different than it was the last time. And I love both. Yeah. I mean, it's one thing to go broad. That's fabulous. Have lots of influences and lots of different flavors. That's great. It's also a beautiful thing to go deep.
Totally. Yeah. And I have to know, Mark, like I've been a fan at numerous Grateful Dead shows, and I know what the fan experience of the Dead is. But from when it's flipped around and you're standing there playing that for that crowd, what is that like for you?
It's a mind fuck. I mean,
that's the best answer ever.
Is it different than anything else that you've done? Like
yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no. I mean, I had the experience with Sophie B. Hawkins. We went to Australia, and we wound up doing this big show around the Melbourne Grand Prix.
Oh,
and I think there were like 90,000 people there.
Yeah, that's a lot of people at that thing.
And it was, that wasn't a Grateful Dead experience, but it was just sure a mind fuck.
Yeah.
But with the Dead, there's another element for me. I can't speak for anybody else, but there's a full circle element. The best way I can verbalize it is to recall the Alpine Valley show that we did with the other ones on the first Other Ones tour in '98. And we came back on for the encore. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the layout at Alpine, but the hillside, the green grass hillside is it goes up from the stage. It's not flat going out. And so when we came back on the stage, all the lights were off in the whole venue. And this hillside going up was just covered in lit bicks and crickets. And I got on that stage and I looked to my left and I looked to my right and I see Bob and Phil and Brucey and I look out there at all these illuminated lighters and I go, this is for us. Oh my God, these are the Deadheads. These are the people that I used to go to these shows with when I was a kid. And now I'm up here playing with these guys and this is fucking amazing.
Whoa.
What?
I mean,
did you play your ass off after that? I mean, because that would be the time to do it.
Well, I gotta admit, for better or for worse, especially on that first tour in '98, I felt so welcomed.
Aww.
And so gifted or blessed or whatever to be given this opportunity to reconnect to a time in my life that was super special and had been missing for decades. That whole experience of playing with the Dead back then, I felt free to play like me. I kind of never worried about it. I didn't worry about who I was pleasing or not pleasing. Was I playing Jerry enough? Was I playing too Jerry? Is Steve a better guitar player than me? Yes, he is.
It's taste.
Well, it's a different thing that we do, but that man has got music so deep in his blood and bones, it's just not even close to funny.
He's from another planet.
Yes, he is, and I adore him.
Yeah, I love that guy. Yep.
You know, Mark, we've talked a lot about, you know, what you did, you know, with the Dead and the other one, whatever. What about what's one of the most prized things you've done in your own career that you love and are proud of? And
well, my band Jemima Puddle Duck, that essentially is the band that was on my first record, Walk Through the Fire, was a real joy for me. I mean, the people involved in that band were incredible players and dear, dear friends. And we were able to play together, most of us anyway, for about 10 years. So we really had the opportunity to become a band and have a body of work and all of that kind of stuff. So that's been pretty special for me. Playing with Delaney Bramlett, being his lead guitar player for about 10 years, that was an amazing treat, because much like the Grateful Dead, Delaney was a huge piece of my coming up. You know, the years listening to like Clapton's solo stuff and the Derek and the Domino stuff and Mad Dogs and Englishmen and Delaney's solo work himself with Delaney and Bonnie and all that. I mean, that man was threaded through all of that music, and that music was hugely important for me. So the fact that I got to play a lot of guitar with him and record with him a lot is a real treat. And then recently, probably the coolest thing I'm doing right now, apart from being lucky enough to still do some dates as myself, is I've been playing with Dave Alvin in a new thing that he's doing called The Third Mind. They just released their second record. I'm not on the records because the thing was put together with Dave Immergluck being the other guitar player from Counting Crows.
Oh, wow.
But he was too busy with Counting Crows to do the tour work, so they tapped me. And I just fell in love with this band. I fell in love with this music, these people, and I think it's a mutual love affair.
Aww.
And it's some of the music is cover in that it's not originally written by the band.
Right.
But the way that we're treating it is completely different. And the way that this band works is very different for Dave. You know, Dave's always been a real source of a variety of approaches to Americana. But this, he got inspired by listening to Bitches Brew by Miles Davis.
Oh, wow.
And understanding how Miles made that record, which was to go in and record a bunch of stuff and then cut it together later, cut the tape together to make the pieces that became those songs.
Really?
Yeah. And so this band, we're taking some of the songs are familiar. In fact, we do Morning Dew. You know, we do an Electric Flag song. We do another Mike Bloomfield solo song. There's a really broad source of the materials sources, but then we just take them out on journeys. I mean, the songs may be 10, 12 minutes long, and we don't do them the same ever.
Wow.
So
you're jamming.
It's a jam band.
Yeah.
It's an Americana. You can't really say Dave's punk rock bass, but that was my initial introduction was, you know, he's the rockabilly punk rock guy from the Blasters, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So to be doing this jammy, really interesting, creative music with him and the other people involved in the band, it's just a treat.
So you're still having fun.
Oh, fuck yes.
Yeah. No, what?
That's really what our main concern
here. We just want to make sure that you're all right.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
And you're still doing Mark Karan's Buds.
Yep. That's kind of what Jemima Puddle Duck became.
Okay.
You know, Puddle Duck was the same people. And so it was a band. I didn't want to go on and use that name with a different combination of people.
Oh, okay.
So I came up with Mark Karan's Buds because I was tired of hearing And Friends or the so-and-so band.
Yes.
It's all been done to death. And I thought, well, Buds means friends. And it also has other meanings.
That's what caught me right away. Like it's got several meanings there. I'm curious too. Have you had a chance to? Have you heard the Latin Dead?
No, I'd love to.
Oh,
You should
wow.
check them out. I'm sorry. I just thought of it. We'd be remiss to not bring it up with like a fresh take on it. The Latin Dead, we had them on the show, and then they also performed at Skull and Roses last year, which was one of the highlights of that because they bring like the Latin music and everything.
It's Oscar Hernandez.
And
I'm not familiar with Oscar, but I love hearing about things like that. Like, I'm guessing you guys are familiar with Wake the Dead.
No, we're not.
Oh, you need to be.
Okay.
This is a fabulous, fabulous band out here on the West Coast that's reinterpreting all the Dead stuff via Celtic.
What?
Oh, what's it called?
Wake
the Dead.
Wow, I love that.
I like
name.
that. That was a good mutual exchange. Yeah, check out Latin Dead because, like you said, Oscar.
I will.
Oscar is a Grammy winner multiple times.
Yeah, multiple
for
Grammy
what was
winner.
it? For the Harlem.
Harlem Orchestra.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. And then they decided they tapped him and some other musicians to bring a Latin
What was John Kay, right?
John Kay plays guitar.
Yeah, John Kay is involved.
Okay.
Yeah, they tapped him to come in to help with the Grateful Dead end of it because they weren't that familiar with the music. But yeah, we need to check that out as well.
Celtic Grateful Dead. Okay.
There's also it's old enough that you guys may not be familiar. I'm guessing you probably are though. But I think about 15 years ago, they put out a Grateful Dead tribute record, all reggae artists.
No.
I think the record was called Fire on the Mountain.
Okay,
yes. All reggae versions of Grateful Dead stuff.
We do. We're familiar with it.
Yeah, we are familiar. Not huge reggae people.
I like reggae. These two aren't. I love reggae.
I love it. I could listen to reggae all day.
Okay, so what's come out recently that you've listened to? Or you said you don't listen to music very often, so you're going to say
I don't, but I mean I try to pay attention. It's funny. I'm guessing I'm finally actually getting older because I made it my business for the longest time as I got older not to become that guy who didn't have any idea who any of those bands were that he sees listed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've become that guy now. I look at certain local venues and I don't know a single band on the bill.
Mark,
look,
we do a music podcast. I am in it, and I'm like,
there's no way to keep up anymore. Truly,
Bonnaroo.
I guess that's right. Yeah. I guess that's right.
That's the kind of the best way, I guess, to see what's mainstream is to read the headlining festival artists, because that's what's kind of being booked, for these festivals. And so that's an idea of what's popular now. But even still, there's so much more than just what's happening there.
Yeah, it's
well, and also what's popular has rarely driven my tastes. And so I find that a lot of stuff that I see repeated over and over and over again on these festivals, I'm just not interested in what that is,
Yeah.
But I feel blessed because somehow I'm still stumbling across cool stuff.
There's a ton of cool
stuff. Have you listened to Billy Strings?
Yeah. Fabulous player. Doesn't really, it's not my thing.
Yeah.
But I have an enormous amount of respect for what he's doing. My thing tends to be more, I mentioned Tedeschi Trucks earlier. I love them. That 3-album thing that they did, or 4-album thing that they did, was just brilliant.
Yep.
I like Marcus King a lot. Friend of mine turned me on to Blake Shelton, who I really enjoy. Kind of an interesting mashup of Ry Cooder and strange, more modern things.
Okay.
Which I thought was really cool. And then there's some bands that I'm still thinking of as new, which actually aren't anymore, which shows my age. But I love Wilco.
They're good. Yeah.
I really like the Black Keys.
Yeah.
There are bands coming out that light me up for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah. And oddly, as much as I enjoy jamming, and I really do, very few of the bands that I find myself attracted to are jam bands. I'm really at my core, I'm ultimately a songs guy. And so what I like to do with my own music is I like to pick songs. Everything's about the song initially. And if the song moves me, great. And then I like to treat it where when you get to the bit where most people in an Americana setup or a blues setup or whatever would do once or twice through the progression and come back to the song.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I like to do that. It's nice to sometimes have just a little nugget that's just a song. But sometimes we get to that part of the song, and it may be a country song. It may be a blues song. It may be some other kind of Americana, but we're going to Mars now, fellas.
I love it. Yeah. Man. So you got something?
Hi. Well, I had, because I know we were going for a bit. This goes back to the very beginning. I'm just curious because reading about you, and you brought it up at the top of it, it says that most people in the country are very familiar with your music, not knowing it, because you have done a lot. You said a lot of studio work, like the Friends thing, and so I'm just curious of any other thing, because I watch a lot.
I
of
didn't
TV.
play on that. I was in the band that played that. That was the Rembrandts, and actually, the way I wound up in that band, the Rembrandts was really two guys, Phil Solomon and Danny Wilde, and the Friends theme basically broke the band up. They'd been slugging it out, trying to make it with their band, and they were. I loved the band. I mean, one of the first song I ever heard from them was "That's Just the Way It Is, Baby," and it came on the heels of years of Lindrums and synthesizers and bullshit music that I couldn't relate to. And all of a sudden, this song comes out, and there's acoustic guitars and B3 organ and Everly Brothers style harmonies and a real drummer and a real bass player instead of sampled. Oh my God, this is great. You know, and so a few years later, they got tapped to play the theme song for the Friends show.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even write it. They just got tapped to be the band that played it.
Okay.
And they didn't expect anything to happen. So they thought, well, okay, yeah, we'll do it. We'll get paid, you know. And then all of a sudden, it became a hit. And their record label says, you guys have to make a full-length version of this and put it on your record.
Oh, shit.
And it made them millions of dollars. They had this ridiculous, huge hit that at first everybody loved, and then everybody got sick of, and then they hated the band that brought it to them. And so they wound up hating each other and the song and everything, and they broke up.
Wow.
And that's when I came in and I did a record with them, and I did one gig. And a few days after the one gig, we were getting ready to go on our first little tour, and I got a phone call, and it was Cameron Sears from Grateful Dead. Saying, would you like to come up and play with the boys? They're thinking about putting a new band together.
Absolutely.
Always yes.
On my way.
Wow.
So, Mark, where can folks see you playing anytime soon?
Well, there's a lot coming up. Actually, I'm about to go out on a brief little run with the Gilmore Project.
Mm-hmm.
Those dates are all up on the Gilmore Project's Facebook page. There's also a Live Dead and Brothers Facebook page. And we're looking at probably going out and doing a bunch of dates with that band September, October, November.
Cool.
I believe the Third Mind, who also have a Facebook page, will be going out in December. That band would love to be touring much, but you know the drummer plays with Richard Thompson, and he's the drummer for Better Than Ezra. And Dave has a bazillion projects in the works, and everybody's just hella busy.
Yeah.
So it's going to be December before we can do that, but we're hoping to do that. And then anybody that lives in the Bay Area, you know, I am doing gigs as Mark Karan's Buds, and that's one of the very few dates that I'll actually list on my website. I don't tend to list the cover dates, the tribute act stuff as much, because the bands themselves, I'll help the bands promote, I'll share on Facebook and stuff. But I kind of try to make my page a little bit more about what I'm doing creatively.
Totally, I get it. Yeah,
makes sense.
I'll make sure to put the links to all that stuff in the show notes, and so if anybody listening wants to find out where Mark's going to be, they can just go open the show notes and click on a thing, and then off you go.
And please let us know when you figure out what you're going to do with that beautiful album, because we'd love to hear it. And sounds like you put a lot into it over time.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that I'll, at very least, I'll debut some songs on Facebook. At the very least, there'll be that initially, and then we'll figure out how to market it. That's never been my strong suit. The business end of this thing, I've always looked at the term music business as an oxymoron.
Totally. Well, thanks for making it through all the scheduling stuff with us, man. And
technical difficulties in the beginning, and we did it.
This has been awesome. Thanks so much, Mark.
Thanks for talking.
You bet. My pleasure.
Yeah, it was real stuff. It was great to talk to you today.
Yeah, man.
Right on.
You take care of yourself, brother. We'll talk soon.
All right, you too.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Aw.
That's a national treasure kind of dude. Right
Yeah. His entire life up there in Marin County in the Bay Area, seeing the dead. Because I thought the same thing. That sounds almost kind of like a misquote, because that says it on several things about him, like self-declared non-deadhead.
I get where he was coming from. By 88, he had left it behind.
Yeah, once he explained, it's like, no, I was a deadhead, still it.
Yeah, take it easy, killer.
but original branding, he's seen it a lot
and
happen in.
Let's just call it like he looks great, right?
Hell yeah, he does. He looks amazing.
He's got a fucking full head of hair. I hope, man.
Babe, you have a full head of hair and you're 52. So.
Okay.
Yeah, you've already been told.
He
asked
the
about
hairdresser
this.
told me
He already
I won.
won.
That's enough.
Right.
If it all fell out now, you still would have done pretty good.
Y'all, I'm fortunate to be hanging out with y'all. You look really good.
Well, thanks.
You're
so
not
does
all
Mark.
bloated out. Well, we're not. Yeah. Mark looks great, but I mean, you guys look, not
I just love his character too. His smile is
that's genuine.
Fucking dope.
Mm-hmm.
You got a dope smile, Mark. That would make an entire room light up and smile, even if they were crappy.
Does, yeah.
So, like I said just a second ago, if you want to find out where he's going to be playing, just open up the show notes. I'll put all the stuff in there. You can go to Mark's website. That'll also be in there. And go see him play, because I want to go to fucking Mars with Mark Karan. Yeah, right?
Yeah, take me to Mars.
That looks like it'd be fun. A lot of fun.
All right.
So we're going to go do our thing. We'll be back on Monday with another No Simple Road weekly rewind. And until then, why don't y'all just take care of each other?
Yeah.
Smile at a stranger. Safety third. And hydrate.
Stop and smell the roses.
Yeah, it's that time. Roses
it is
are
that time of year.
Roses are rosy.
Roses aren't free. Love y'all. Peace.
But it's a burden. Family needs has been deferred, and hella means been the earth, and alchemy can bring the birth, the melody of a newborn. So persistent, so resistant, so insistent, so commitment, so resilient, or haven't you learned it? No simple road. 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 My windshield is shattered as I focus through the spot in the corner that is still intact. The react is both a defense mechanism as well as a fear. We've traveled this road before, so we may think, but it's a tad bit of strange similarities that feed an A equal A complex. The fears of your past do not equal the perplexities of the current road.
Hi, this is Henry Kay, host of the #1 music history podcast, Rootsland. Come with me on a journey to Kingston, Jamaica, where we explore the world of reggae music and the untold stories of some of the genre's greatest legends. From the ghettos and tenement yards where the music was born, to the island's iconic recording studios. We are so excited to team up with Osiris Media, the leading storyteller in music, because as you'll hear, sometimes the story is the best song.